So it's Black Friday parking week here at Strong Towns, and I'm not parking today. I'm walking to work. I live about 6 blocks from the office, and it's really nice. I actually don't have to walk by many parking lots at all on the way here. Makes a walk very pleasant. I want to give you some of the origin story of Black Friday parking, though, because people, I've had people now come up to me and say, "Hey, have you heard? There's this group that does thing where they send people out on Black Friday to take pictures of parking lots." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm familiar with that group." Um, that's us. So years ago, when I was a very young engineer, I remember sitting in meetings. This happened multiple times, but I remember one distinctly where there was a group that was looking to build a parking lot, and they did not want it as big as we were recommending. They did not want it as big as the ordinance required or as we were recommending that they build it. And so there's a back and forth, and I was a junior engineer here. I was not leading the meeting. I was not part of the conversation. I mean, I was there in the room, right? But it wasn't me. I remember my boss, or the senior engineer on the project, saying these exact words. He said, "Come Black Friday, you're gonna want that parking." It was basically like a sales pitch for more parking. Come Black Friday, you're gonna want that parking. You're really gonna want it. And I remember thinking, that's freaking absurd, right? Like for one little stretch out of the year where your store's probably like overwhelmed anyway, you're gonna pay this exorbitant price for this excess parking that you're not gonna use any other time during the year. I remember being in another meeting where the city was debating whether to require a whole bunch of parking or not. And the engineer that I was with said, "Well, you know, if we don't do this on Black Friday, the busiest shopping day of the year, there's going to be all these people parked up and down the street and parked in all kinds of weird places. And, you know, basically like it will be mayhem and chaos. Like we can't have that." And I remember thinking like, if that's the worst problem we have to deal with. And so when we started Strong Towns, I just had this observation that I was going to go out and take photos of parking lots on Black Friday. Because at that point, and we've been doing this, you know, over a decade now, at that point, Black Friday was considered the busiest shopping day of the year. It's the day of, you know, all the sales and all the specials and everybody shows up. And that was the day, you know, if you don't have enough parking, you're gonna be in all kinds of problems. So guess what? Guess what we found? Parking lots empty over and over and over. Maybe not empty, but certainly not anywhere near capacity. And the idea was, well, if you're not using it then, when are you using it? If you're not using it on Black Friday, when is it of value to you? This is part of growing to understand that the parking minimums that as zoning officials we cling to, as planning commission members, we say, this is the law, you must follow it. These things are like pulled out of the air, right? They're practically made up. The little bit of you know, technical background and knowledge that comes into it might as well be a fiction. I mean, it really is. And if you doubt me, go read The High Cost of Free Parking. Go read Donald Shoup's work. It's fantastic. It's amazing. He lays this all out. And so as we get to Black Friday, go out along with thousands of other people. Take a photo of the parking lots. If you're out that day, if you're shopping, if you're visiting other places, just note how the parking's not being used. I realize Black Friday is not the busiest shopping day of the year anymore. It's like December 24th or 23rd or 26th, whatever it is. Take note on those days too, right? The reality is we've built this non-performing asset, tons and tons and tons of parking. And the premise from the 1950s and the 1960s that all of our codes are based on is that somehow this would have immense value to us on this one day of the year. It's not true. It doesn't work out that way. Push back on this.